Douglas, can you tell me what it was like when Singapore was surrendered to the Japanese?
Well, we're all resigned to our fate, you know. I'm saying it was done, no good doing anything about it then. Just had to put up with it. As I say, I believe in fate, and I joined the TA, and all through my time in the army, I was with the same group of people that I joined the TA with. And I still know some of them and see one or two of them. Despite that, no matter where we went, I always landed up with my own people. I call them my own people because they were. I'm saying from going on the ship to Singapore, and in Singapore we all stayed together. We all, when I went from where I lost the group, when I came down the side of the bank and found them all gone, next thing I knew, when I marched from Changi from Singapore to Changi and went to the barracks, first group I found was my old mates. So I was back with the unit again. And fortunately, 6 or 7 weeks after the fall of Singapore, I was one of 1,200 people moved from Changi to an unknown destination at that time. And I got on board this Nisiyu Maru, a Japanese merchant ship, which was one of ours, that had been sent for scrap, and they'd tarted it up and used it as a prison ship. And who should be there but my 316 group? So we landed in Saigon as a complete unit again.
What did it feel like to be back with your old comrades, but now a prisoner of
Relief,
war?
pleasure, sort of. Well, pleasure, but glad to be with people we knew. You know, Tom, Dick and Harry, as it were.
Where were you taken to from the ship?
To Saigon. We didn't know it at the time, not till we got there, but that's where we went to, Saigon. It was about a 5-day trip. Oh, trip, 5-day journey. Fortunately, early part of the war, the Americans, well, they weren't in the war then, no. No allies were, submarines were inactive, so the ship got to Saigon without incident. When we got to Saigon, we disembarked, and 100 were sent up to Hanoi, and they rejoined us after about a year. They went up there to build an airdrome, and I was with the rest of them, there was 1,000. So we marched out of this dock and into the road outside, and a few yards along was the camp where we were placed into, which fortunately was had been a barracks for French Foreign Legion, because the French were in control of Saigon, and they were still there, and they were still free people. And so from the ship to the camp where we stayed was a matter of 500 yards. So no time we were in a new camp. And unlike those poor chaps who went up to the railway, we slept on wooden slats, whereas they could sleep in mud. They had a terrible time.
Can you describe what the camp was like for me, and tell me a little bit about your daily routine?
Daily routine. The first thing about being a prisoner of war was the fact that the Japanese were absolutely mad about making sure none of us escaped. So we're everlasting having roll calls. And we had to number off in Japanese. Well, obviously we none of us knew any Japanese to start with, so it was a question of learning. We were all lined up in 3 ranks, and it wasn't long before we realised the safer way was to go to the same spot every time. So you learnt the first number, Ichi, that was number 1. And after a while you got to know the numbers. Everybody went to the same place, so they began to all to learn it, and then you listen, you pick it up yourself. Ichi, ni, san, si, go, rocka, sichi, kuju. And then when you got up to ju, that was 10, and then you started 1 10, 2 10s, 3 10s. It was a fairly easy numbering system. I could probably number up to 100 slowly. Not that it would do me any good, but there you are, that's what it was. It wasn't long before we all knew what we were saying. And if you did get it wrong, after the first 2 or 3 times they didn't punish you, but if after you got it wrong, you got beaten. Fist in the face. That's one thing about the Japanese. Their punishment is instantaneous. Their army, the private soldiers, were 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. No, they were privates, the bottom rank. The 1 star could be hit by everybody above him. If he did something wrong, he got punished on the spot. The number 2, 2 star, he could punish all the 1s under him, all the 1s. And so it went on. So that punishment was instantaneous. You know, you knew what you were being punished for. You didn't go on a charge like we do.
And were you ever punished?
Yes, but I didn't suffer too badly. Some chaps were really beaten up and really had, you know, to be quite honest, I thought to myself, the best way of surviving is to do as you're told. It was no good trying to protest because you were on the wrong end of the stick. So I did as I was told. Most people did. There were a few people who awkward, and they got punishment really badly sometimes. In fact, some of them were punished so much they died. Not in our camp, but it did in other camps.